What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is actually an electronic currency or digital currency. It is a currency based on cryptography. This currency is not the same as the currency we used in bank cards. Appearance is a kind of legend. During the financial crisis in 2008, there was an internet geek on November 1, 2008. His name was Satoshi Nakamoto. So far we don't know who he is. He published an article on the internet. This article we now call it white paper. The full name is Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. His white paper put forward such a concept, that is, we can design a decentralized electronic bookkeeping system. The most important thing when we conduct transactions is bookkeeping. For example, how much I pay you. I want to check my own bank card. Is there still so much money? How much is left after I pay you? This is called bookkeeping. Who is responsible for bookkeeping now? It is bank bookkeeping. Whether we use bank credit cards, Alipay or WeChat, we all use banks to book accounts. We trust banks because behind the bank is the credit of the country, so this Nakamoto said, in fact, we do not need a centralized accounting system, we can decentralize, everyone's ledger is for others to see, and it is public. This is called decentralized electronic record account system. For example, there are so many children, these children are called ABCD. They trade and buy things and so on, so they have to pay each other. For example, once the payment is made, hey, I paid 10 bitcoins to be first. This matter needs to be recorded. You can't keep it yourself, because you keep it yourself and others don't believe it, so you have to broadcast this bill and tell everyone. So, A tells B, C, and D to broadcast the bill to everyone on the network. After a while, B has to pay. For example, B paid 5 bitcoins to C, and B told D the bill to A and then to C, and then the C paid 2 bitcoins to D, and at the same time C we also need to tell everyone else about this bill. Then we will package this bill into a block, and we call this block a block. The size of this block is about 1 megabyte, and we can store 4,000 entries. The left and right transaction records, sometimes a little more and sometimes a little less, depends on the size of each record. After the block is packaged, we will link this block to the previous transaction records to form a chain, and then connect this block to the previous block, and then a new block is attached to it after a while, which is called the blockchain. After we have such a system, we need to solve several problems. What problems? For example, who is the subject of the bill? This is a problem because everyone's bill may be different. For example, A may record first, A gives 10 bitcoins to B, and then record B's 5 bitcoins give C this matter. But because of the delay effect of the network, this may not be the case on D's side. The order of D may be recorded first, B pays 5 bitcoins to C and then records, A pays 10 bitcoins to B. Everyone's bill may not be the same, so who will prevail? The second is, why do we need to keep accounts? Why do you broadcast it to me and I will receive it? Why should I spend my own computer resources to record an account that has nothing to do with me? Let's first talk about why we need to keep accounts. Because the rewards for bookkeeping are the rewards for bookkeeping. Then every user in the Bitcoin system can go to bookkeeping. If he keeps the account, the first one has a handling fee. What does the income mean? If A pays 10 bitcoins to B, A must pay a little more. This little bit is a handling fee for the person who packs the account, the person who keeps the account. If you use a bank card, in fact, there is also a handling fee, and it is actually quite high. If you use Bitcoin, the handling fee is very low. This is the first benefit. The second income is that the person who packaged it has a packaged reward. The packaged reward can only be packaged by one person. How much reward will he get? When Satoshi Nakamoto proposed this system in 2008, he designed it like this. One solution is to make a package every 10 minutes. At the beginning, this package will reward the packager with 50 bitcoins. After 4 years, every package will reward you with 25 bitcoins. If you spend another 4 years, you will be rewarded with 12.5 bitcoins. After every 4 years, it will be halved. Let's calculate how many bitcoins there are. First of all, you will pack a package every 10 minutes. This package has a reward of 50 bitcoins. There are 6 in an hour and 10 minutes to pack 6. Then there are 24 hours per day and 365 days per year. This was the case for the first 4 years. I took another 4 years, but it was not like this for the second 4 years. The second 4 years will be reduced by half. The second 4 years will be multiplied by 1/2. The third 4 years will be multiplied by the square of 1/2, and the fourth 4 years will be 1/2 to the third power, and so on. If we calculate all the result is about 21 million, that is to say, there are only 21 million bitcoins in total, and it spreads out through packaging rewards. This is such a problem, because of the handling fee and packaging reward, these two, so everyone rushes to pack, you rush to pack, whoever is the criterion. The next question is whoever is the criterion, it can only be packed by one person, who is the right to. Satoshi Nakamoto thought of the method is called proof of work. What does proof of work mean? It means that every participating user has to do a difficult math problem. If you solve this difficult math problem, you have the right to package. If you want to package, you will get a handling fee and a package reward. How difficult is this difficult math problem? It is so difficult that no one can solve it directly through the brain. We must try the numbers one by one. As long as you try it out, then you will get this reward, so we call this process mining. So let's continue to talk about what exactly is the math problem. Let's talk about the specific principle of mining. We just said that mining is a difficult math problem, but this math problem does not depend on whether your brain is smart or not, but on your CPU. What is the speed? Because no one can calculate it through their brains, everyone's method can only be one by one. So what is the specific principle? First of all, let's recall that we have talked about something called a hash function before. This hash function can also be called a digital digest, or a hash function. It means that we can take a string and pass a certain calculation can be converted into a summary form, and it is easier for you to calculate it forward, but it is difficult to calculate it backwards. For example, there is a very famous hash algorithm called SHA-256 in the hash algorithm, which was invented by the US National Security Agency. An algorithm, if we input a string into the SHA-256 function, for example, the string is called apple. How much is the output? The output is a binary number. This binary number has 256 bits, for example, 1010, 110, 1010. No, there are a total of 256 bits in any rule, so it is called SHA-256, and this algorithm means that no matter what you input in front, the result will be a binary number with 256 bits. If you put a 10G movie into it, it finally outputs 256 digits, and if you change it a little bit, the number will be different. For example, if I add a dot to my apple, the number of each digit will change in the end. This is one of its characteristics. And the difficulty of the hash algorithm is that it is easier to calculate in the forward direction, but it is very difficult to calculate in the reverse direction. This is a characteristic of its algorithm. Let us give an example. For example, there is such a function that is 3 times of x squared plus log 2 x plus sin x equals y. You give me an x and let me calculate y. In fact, this is not difficult, but if you give me a y and ask me what x is, it is very difficult. Hash the function is much more complicated than this, so its inversion is basically impossible. What can we do? We can only try one by one. If you tell me a result, then I can only try one by one. This is a basic problem of the hash algorithm until it is tested. So this mining is actually based on such an operation of this SHA-256. Let's talk about the specific principle of mining. We just talked about this blockchain, which is actually a lot of transaction information. For example, this blockchain has been linked to a certain location. From the very beginning, this is the current situation. This block does not only have transaction information, it actually has a block header, and there is some content in it, this content in fact, it is information, which is the record bill of our transaction. Now many people say that I want to pack now. Why? Because packing has rewards and handling fees, everyone has their own bill. And this bill is he collected the bills caused by a large number of people around him. Everyone took the bills and prepared to pick up the block online, but when picking up the block, he had to calculate a math problem. What math problem? First of all, it will have a string. There is a lot of content in this string, but let's talk about some main ones. What content does this string contain? First of all, it includes the existing block, that is, the previous block, the head of the previous block. This it's the first part. The second part is that it now has the information about the bill. You already have the information about the bill that's been packaged, and things like the time, for example, and a whole lot of mess. And then another very important thing is to have a random number. This is a string of yours. Now you do two SHA-256 operations on this string. What is its hash value equal to? Equal to SHA-256, then SHA-256, then character string. You perform this hash operation twice on this string. The speed is actually very fast. You can calculate the number at once. But after you calculate it, you will find that it is a 256-digit number. What do we ask for this 256-digit number? It is required that the first n digits of it must be 0. For example, the result of the number you calculated is 0, 0, 0, 0. For example, there are 9 zeros, and then assuming 1, 0, 1, 1. 0, 1, there are 256 bits in total until the end. You calculate such a number. If my requirement is that the first 9 digits are 0, then you are right, you are right, you are qualified to pack. You are qualified to pack means, you have to calculate this. The hash value is used as the head of a new block, and then you calculate such a number, and then use it as the head of a new block to make a packet. After finishing this packet, then connect your packet to the back, so you just pick up a new block, and you will get the reward you want. That's it. How can we calculate that the first few digits are all 0? We need to change one content, that is, change this random number, and the other you can't change the content, so you change the random number. The random number starts from 0 at the beginning, and 0 is counted once to see if it meets the conditions. It is all binary. You keep trying until you try it out, and everyone should pay attention that the difficulty of this problem is different when everyone is calculating. Why? Because everyone is the header of the block is the same for everyone, but the bill you packaged may be different, your time, start time may be different, and your personal information is also different, so the size of this random number is caused. The difference is that some people are lucky and their first number is calculated, and then they are packaged directly. Some people are unlucky. Although they have strong computing ability, they can count for a long time, but they can't figure it out in the end. But on average, this is the case. Whoever has stronger computing power is more likely to pack this block, and whoever is more likely to dig this mine. That's it. You say why everyone is desperate to buy this mining machine. Well, let's go on. We have a difficulty setting. How is the difficulty setting, that is, the n bit, how to determine the difficulty n is determined, obviously. The number of the previous 0 is more, the more difficult the problem is. Why is it difficult if there are more numbers? Let's imagine that in this problem, you can't inversely calculate, you can only try one by one randomly, the probability of 0 appearing on each bit and the probability of appearing 1, the probability is 50% each. So if the first digit is 0, the probability is 1/2, if the second digit is 0, the probability is 1/2, the third digit is 0, and the probability is also 1/2, until the last digit it is 0, and the probability is also 1/2, so the result of multiplying it is 1/2 nth power. Obviously, the larger the n, the higher the difficulty, the smaller the n, the lower the difficulty. Then Satoshi Nakamoto was when designing, it is to ensure that he needs to produce a block every 10 minutes, and then pack thousands of pieces of information. How to ensure that is to adjust the difficulty of this n and adjust the number of this n. Let's take an example. For example, there are 10,000 mining machines. the computing power of each of these 10,000 mining machines is 14 T per second, that is, 14 T hash operations can be calculated per second. What is 14 T? 1 T is 10 to the 12th power, so this number is 1.4 times 10 to the 13th power per second. So how many times can you count in 10 minutes? Let's calculate that 10 minutes is 600 seconds. And each miner counts as 1.4 times 10 to the power of 13 per second, and then multiply by 10 to the 4th power, which means that there are 10,000 mining machines, and then you have to multiply by 10 minutes to get 600 seconds, which is about 8.4 times 10 to the power of 19, which means that you can perform so many operations in 10 minutes. Then let's think about it again. If the probability is 1/2 to the nth power, to come up with this block, the number of calculations that need to be calculated is 2 to the nth power. If the probability is 1/64, the average block to be produced will be counting 64 times. In the same way, you have counted so many times, then it is roughly equivalent to the power of 2. We can find through calculation that if this n is equal to 66, your probability of appearing at this time is 1/2, the 66th power of, then the average number of times you need to calculate is 2 to the 66th power, which is about 8 times 10 to the power of 19. So in this case, the miner will set the difficulty to n equal to 66. The first one can be calculated. The first 66 people who came out were all zeros. They successfully packed this block and successfully mined mines. You can't make your luck better. What you can do is to buy more mining machines and then work hard to mine, so you may get this Bitcoin. Probably this is the principle. I will share this video here. If you like my video, please give me a like. Thank you.